Loud. All right, guys, top of the morning. Happy Wednesday, February 25th, coming to you full of water because I'm on 75-day hard, full of excitement and just full of tremendous levels of gratitude. But I want to make the intro less about me and more about somebody that's on the call. I had no idea that this person is celebrating her 32nd birthday today. And so we would like to send a huge happy birthday out to Blessing. Blessing, it's her birthday today. So you guys, let's give some love, let's give some light. And if everybody can take themselves off of mute and on the count of three, I'm just gonna say, we're not gonna sing, we're just gonna say a happy birthday. So on the count of three, everyone take themselves off of mute. Let's get ready. All right, cool. So on the count of three, we're just gonna say a big giant happy birthday to Blessing. So one, two, three.
Happy
Happy
birthday,
birthday,
Blessing!
Blessing!
All right, so Blessing, I'm just going to turn the mic over to you. I'm going to have you bring us out on the field. I don't know how old you actually are, nor am I going to ask, but whatever age you are, happy birthday to you. Stoked to have you in our environment. So let's have you take us out on the field on this beautiful, beautiful birthday morning.
I was so confused when you said 32nd. I wouldn't go back and redo it at all. I am a proud 41 today, which gives me perspective that every day is a new day to do something different and to rewrite your story. And I am so grateful to be in this environment and be supported and truly be seen by every single person on this call. And if it is your first time, what a great way to start your day. Join us every time that you have the opportunity, because every single time I'm here, I always walk away with something new. And that comes from just getting up and knowing that you are in the right place every single time you show up. So just stay present, keep going, and just have the most amazing, joyful day today. Thank you all so much.
Well, happy birthday to you. Wishing you the best lap around the sun ever. I feel like, right, like it's never too late. I feel like I'm 44 and I'll probably hit my, what I believe peak, maybe like in the next couple of years. I don't know. Like it's just never too late to get started. We're just not even peaking yet. And so I love to see where you're at, where we're going, what life has in store for you. So super, super stoked for you. Happy birthday. And let's get rolling right into today's session. So I saw a quote today and I shared it online or on Instagram, and I wanted to share it with you guys because it's applicable to our environment. And there's two quotes I wanted to share. The first one is about discipline, and it states that discipline is explaining to your brain that you need to sacrifice immediate pleasure for greater rewards in the future. And now think about that. And let me say it one more time because I think it's really, really powerful. Let me let Vanessa in. And then let me let two other people in. Everyone's coming in late. All right. So discipline is explaining to your brain that you need to sacrifice immediate pleasure for greater rewards in the future. Now, I want to hear what your interpretation of this. And here's an example. I believe that at times there's like I am addicted to chocolate chip cookies. Well, I'm curbing that addiction, but I love chocolate chip cookies, like absolutely love it. And there's not a time, even when I go to Subway to get like a healthy sandwich or a wrap, right? When they got the three cookies right there, it's hard for your boy to say no, but I'm on 75-day hard. So I am having the discipline to say no to immediate satisfaction for the long-term gain. The long-term gain is that when summertime comes around and I hit the beach with my wife and I take off my shirt, with all due respect, I don't want a 44-year-old dad body. I just don't want that. I want like, damn, dude is ripped, right? But I got to make some sacrifices now in order for me to be able to look the way that I want to look. And so that's an example. So I'm going to share that one more time for people. And I want you guys to raise your hand. I want to hear what your interpretation of what this would be for you. Discipline is explaining to your brain that you need to sacrifice immediate pleasure for greater rewards in the future. Anybody else want to share with their example or what that meaning or means to them? Let's go, Jeff, and I'd love to get two more people in the queue, and then we're going to start the session. Let's go, Jeff. Let's go, Ashley. And listen, thank you. Thank you. If you are not raising your hand in these environments, I'm shaking you right now and saying, yo, get yourself on camera, because guess what? You are a public figure. You are a public speaker. You are somebody that people are looking to, and you are influential. And if you're scared about talking, then fucking do it here, because I'd rather you be scared here than out there with your consumers or when you're hosting your next event. Let's go, Jeff.
So here's what I mean. Discipline is huge. I mean, we've all heard this. I don't know if it's Jocko, but there's no such thing as motivation. It's all about discipline. What I tell myself is I'm not doing it for Jeff today. I'm not doing it. I'm doing this, whatever I need to do, whatever activity I need to do. I'm doing it for Jeff from a week from now, a month from now. If it's something from a activity or exercise standpoint, from a nutrition or eating standpoint, I'm doing it for 60-year-old Jeff, 70-year-old Jeff, 80-year-old Jeff. That's what I'm doing it for. I'm not doing it for, I'll tell you, 52-year-old Jeff. I'm doing it for, for some Jeff in the future. And that just gets me in the right mindset that, I got a 52-year-old Jeff's got to suffer to make, 55-year-old or 60-year-old Jeff better.
Man, I love this because guys, I've been in business for a long time. I started in my business career when I was 18. It was 1998, and I used to slang long distance over the phone. And this was before FCC rules and regulations and do not call lists. And I remember that. And at that time, like we weren't as aware as a society, and we weren't as conscious. We weren't as healthy. There weren't as many people in the gym, like active. Like there's so many people that aren't drinking. For example, Eric King has been on our team since day one, and Eric King is the partier of partiers, right? He is like our spirit animal. When we think about like partying, and like he represents that rocker spirit. And to see homeboy, he's gone over like 50 days, no smoking cigarettes, no alcohol, no drugs. Like he has turned his life around because he's like, man, I'm a dad. I want to show up to be better for my son later on in life. And so, Jeff, I really, really connect with that, bro, because I will be 50 years old. I know it's crazy, you guys. I know it's crazy to think I'll be 50 years old in 6 years. So I'm thinking about, I've had friends that have passed away in their 40s because of heart attacks. I've had friends pass away at 42 years old because of liver damage. All right, I'm like, nah, I will sacrifice the immediate pleasure to have long-term success and long-term gains. So Jeff, man, that resonates with me on a very high level. Let's go to Ashley, and then we'll go to Hyrik Nick. I don't want to mess it up, but I'm just going to call you Mr. Nair. Okay, we'll come to you next. Let's go, Ashley.
It reminds me of the marshmallow experiment. I don't know if you've ever heard about that. So what they did is they took a bunch of kids and they said, okay, you can either have one marshmallow now, or if you wait an hour, you can have two marshmallows. And they tested all the kids, and then they tested them like 20 years later. The kids that waited for that second marshmallow an hour and put that off were like heads and shoulders more successful than the kids that wanted that first marshmallow right away. So it just goes to show you, like, scientifically, there's been experiments done. If you can suppress that urge for the greater good for yourself for later, there's scientific evidence that says you're going to be more successful than other people.
Okay, so is this called the marshmallow experience? Because I have to research this. I have to do a video on this.
It's the marshmallow experiment. I'll find it for you.
All right, cool. I'm going to do a video on that, so please don't jack my idea. I got it from Ashley, though, okay? But I had no idea. I've never heard this before. This is why I am selfishly here as well for you guys. Let's go Mr. Nair, and then we'll go Jacob, and then Darnell, and then Jessica, and we'll keep running through the list. Let's go. Mr. Nair.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, it's pronounced Rithik. Yeah, to me, that just means I'm a big gym rat, and I think especially in like the winter time, you'll see like a lot of like your friends who also go to the gym with your gym buddies. They start to kind of like slack off and stuff because it's cold in the morning and it's early, so like everyone's just kind of like, oh, I wanted to stay in bed where it's warm and like comfortable. But I've realized that like even just going to the gym and like trying to force yourself, even when it's not like the best day or you're having a bad day and you're not hitting the weight you want to hit, it still like, builds a lot of confidence in you that you can like handle like situations that aren't ideal and are like not going your way. So I think that discipline, like that, it reinforces that habit for yourself that even if it's not going my way, I'm still going to show up and I'm still going to do what I need to do. So yeah.
Man, I absolutely love this. Absolutely love this. And I want to give you an example of not wanting to do something and still doing it. So it's hard to see, but that number right there says 6.33 miles. That was a workout that I did yesterday when I didn't want to do it because I'm disciplined because I'm doing this challenge. And so, man, I connect with that message 100%. Great stuff. Let's go Jacob. And then after Jacob, it's going to be Darnell, then Jessica, then Blessing, then Natalie, then Sierra. All right, cool. Let's go. Let's go, Jacob.
Elias, I say discipline is doing what you don't want to do, but doing what you have to do in order to be successful and still doing it.
Yeah. Listen, you guys, there's going to be a lot of stuff that you don't want to do in this game. There's going to be a lot of stuff that you don't, and there's going to be a lot of things that you are monotonous. They're mundane. They're over and over and over again. But look at some of the most successful athletes. they do that over and over and over and over again. And look at the results. Look at the results. So Jacob, I really appreciate that. Let's go Darnell, and then let's go Jessica. Darnell, what's your thoughts, contributions on the quote that I just shared?
So I guess it'll be piggybacking off of everybody's response, of course. But I was going to say discipline to me is not something you have to employ when you do it naturally, right? So like you said, you have an affinity for those cookies. You don't have to discipline yourself to eat them. It's to not eat them. So discipline to me is when you feel like there's something you can't do or don't want to do, is exactly when you have to. It's a channel of the mind. You have to do it when you feel like you don't want to or you can't.
Yeah, Darnell, God, I love this. Absolutely love this. Let me ask you guys a question, and we're not pointing any fingers. We're not going to say any names. Do you, in your life, and just raise your hand because I want to make sure I keep the other hands up for questions or contributions. Do you know somebody in your life that you look at them or have a relationship with this person or know this person, and you know that they're not disciplined in their life, whether it's their habits, their eating, their rituals, their whatever it is, right? You can see that, right? How many of you know a person that is super, super disciplined? I know quite a few people in my circle that are very, very disciplined. Well, if you can see it, who else can see it? Consumers can see it, right? Consumers can see, is this person well put together? Are they consistent? Do they have the discipline to show up on social media? Are they constantly going out and seeing properties? Are they showing up early? Do they look good? Do they look flustered? Do they have their shit together? Are they getting out of the car and all their stuff, and they got their hi, I'll be right there, and their Stanley Cup is falling out of their hand? Like a client sees that too. If you can identify people in your life right now that you know are not disciplined, then a consumer can see that as well. That shit shows the moment you step out of the car, the moment that you get to a listing appointment. You show up early, you get out of the car, you're looking around at the house, you're taking some mental notes. Like, they see that the moment that you pull up. So you guys, if you can see an undisciplined person, so can your consumers. Jessica, let's go.
For me, discipline is, prospecting during the weekends, knowing that I want to stay home with my family, and just, hosting open houses, door knocking. So, yeah.
Yes. You know what? In the morning time, my alarm goes off at 5, and every single part of every fiber of me as a human being wants to stay in bed. Every fiber, but I literally kick my legs up and get out of bed. But then the result and the benefit is that extra hour in the morning where I'm just chilling, I'm reading, the house is calm. That is so important to me. So I sacrifice and get up and have the discipline too, so I can have that time. So I love that, Jessica. Good stuff. Let's go Blessing, and then let's go Natalie. And then who do I? Okay, wow, I have quite a few now. Okay, cool. We'll just keep rolling. I'll try to get, and if you've already spoke, lower your hand. So let's go Blessing, then Natalie.
As soon as you started talking about discipline, the first person that always comes to mind for me is David Goggins. He is just an absolute machine. Is he a machine? I don't know. But the guy's discipline and the way that he shows up is on a completely different level. He did an interview with Andrew Huberman, who's a neuroscientist at Stanford. And Andrew was able to give David the science, saying that there is this, I was trying to find the word, I can't. There's a specific center of your brain that literally is the willpower center. The more things that you do that you don't want to do, you don't enjoy doing it, but you do it anyway, that is the direct tie to kind of that marshmallow experiment that Ashley was talking about. So even if you don't want to do it and you do it, you still don't like it, but you know it's necessary. That's actually the thing that makes us stronger and makes us really want to show up every day. So most of the time, every time we hear discipline, it's always the negative. But that's okay, because we naturally are going to go towards the way of being lazy, going easy. And a lot of the things that we're trying to do are truly outside of our comfort zone. They're not really what we're wired to do. So it does take a ton of training to get up, especially when you're sick or especially when it hurts, and to keep moving forward, because those end results that you're striving for, you want them for a reason. You didn't just choose to be a real estate agent because it's the easiest thing in the world. No, there's work that needs to go into it. There's a bigger reason, just like Jeff was saying, it's for the 80-year-old version of yourself, but go one step further. It's actually to show your younger self what you did. Especially today, I'm reflecting a lot about where I was when I was 14, when my kid's age. I thought 40 was old and that I would never make it here. And it came really quickly. Not that I was, you know what I mean? Just the time,
Yeah, I know what you
time
mean.
just showed up really quickly. But that just goes to show that if you just do what you need to, it'll show up a lot faster than you expect. But you've got to give yourself time to build those disciplines and really just put them in place.
Man, yeah, I love this. And you know, it just seems like yesterday that I had hair to my belly button and a hemp wrap weaved into my hair. And I was, you know, had a belt buckle with a wizard on it. And like, I was just so
Oh,
cool.
you went far back real quick.
I love it. But you know, it's cool. It's like when you think about discipline, you know, some of us had really hard parents and like non-negotiables in the house. Well, it's like that discipline that I have for myself now, I'm passing on to my children. And now that I have a 19-year-old, and you know, Larissa's not my biological daughter, but I've been in her life since she was 10 years old. Now the discipline that I have instilled in them, I'm seeing it show up in their life, and it's really, really cool. My daughter, her alarm goes off at 3:30. She's out of the house at 4 a.m. to get to her shift at 4:30 at Starbucks. You're not feeling well. You have period cramps. Fuck that. You're getting up. That's not a reason to miss work. Like it's so like I'm seeing the discipline in them, and it's really cool. Michaela's getting straight A's right now. Silas is a work in progress, but I'm starting to see like the discipline appear in their lives. So blessing, I love this. Let's go Natalie, and then I'll go Sierra, Damian, Brandy, and then we'll shift gears into the market conversation. Let me get to everybody, and then we'll shift the market. Go Natalie.
Discipline to me is talking about these calls, even though it makes me nervous. But also, I feel like we're hit with so many distractions in our life. Just it's not even drugs and alcohol anymore. It's our phones, it's our TVs, you know. And they all play into our dopamine responses. And you know, that can really get in the way of everything. It's just right there, you know, and it's not like illegal to look at your phone, but it definitely yeah, throws me off sometimes. So that's what discipline is to me.
Yeah, you know, and I sat in a session a few weeks ago in our Play Bigger Mastermind group, and we had a guest on, and he talked all about distractions, meaning that when you're in your genius time, let's say your genius time is when you're going to prospect or when you're going to finish a project. Everything is turned off, all of his notifications. He's on airplane mode. He has no notifications popping up on his computer. Everything is set to do not disturb me in any way, shape, or form. And so he goes in and turns all those dials off. So he's never interrupted during the times that his business needs him the most. So Natalie, I'm super, super stoked that you were conscious of that. Let's go to Sierra and let's go to Aaron Crisp, and then I'll get to everybody else. And then I didn't expect to have so many people raise their hand on this, but I'm really pleased. Christina, I see your hand too. Please don't go away. Let's go Aaron Crisp next. Thank you, Natalie.
Good morning. So I think it's really important to remember that, you know, we're fighting nature. Our brains want to conserve energy. They want us to be lazy. They want us to consume calories. And so, you know, it's important to remember that our brains are going to be telling us things that might not be true. Oh, geez. So that's why it's so important to establish habits, because habits mean that you don't have to think about that thing. You just get up and do it. And I think that's one of the things I see with my family a lot is like this over freaking thinking about everything. And it's the brain telling you all these reasons why you should not do something. And the fact is, you just need to shut that off and go do it.
Amen. Anybody guilty of that on the call? I know where you guys are. It's all good. It's all good. That's why we're here to grow together. So let's keep cruising. Let's go to me, and then we'll go Brandy, and then we'll go. I'm just going to get to everyone I possibly can. All right, let's go to me.
Good morning. Good morning. Super interesting topic of conversation. But to me, it's discipline just becomes a lifestyle. Like, you just made me think about all the things that I do during the day, and I don't take the time to think that I'm being disciplined. It's just that I do them. And it's a lot of shit that nobody else will do, and nobody else is taking the time to do. Or even my wife will remind me sometimes, like, damn, you just blah, 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 blah. Like last night, we're going to bed and I'm sending off an offer. I could have waited until this morning, but I'm trying to get a jump on it. And I don't sit back and say wow to the things that I do. I just do them. And a part of the reason is regrets. You can't do anything with regret, and you never want to look back and be like, I wish I would have, or I wish I could have done that. If you do it now, or at least make an attempt, you can say I tried, or I tried and I succeeded. But yeah, discipline to me is a lifestyle.
Wow. God, I absolutely love this. And for the people that hopped on a little bit late, I shared a quote. So if you're just hopping on, I saw Jess and Mel hop on. Discipline is explaining to your brain that you need to sacrifice immediate pleasures for greater rewards in the future. And so my question was to what were people's interpretation of that? So if you missed the first part, so let's go Christina, and then I'm going to try to get through to everyone within the next 5 minutes. So let's go Christina. I like the
Hey
pink.
guys. Thank you. So one thing I think is, for those of you who know me, I'm a type 1 diabetic. So very different from type 2 diabetes. I was diagnosed when I was 14 years old. Have an insulin pump in my body 24/7. So I think of it as I have a choice if I want to be disciplined or not. Ultimately, my body's going to react a certain way, but how do I want to be when I'm 80 years old, 90 years old? Do I want to be a statistic, or do I want to just, like Nike says, do it? You know, I think like this morning I was running and then I was like, oh my God, I got to get on the call. But I think easily I can be like, I don't want to run. It's just like, oh, I can do this call. I need to work on a loan application. But then I stop myself and I say, well, if I don't, how are my blood sugars going to be the rest of the day? And it's a domino effect. So one thing too is I always look at it as it's always your mentality. You know what you have to do. Don't second guess it, because you're going to talk yourself out of it and you're going to regret it at the end of the day. And you're going to on this vicious cycle of saying, okay, I'll do it again tomorrow. Well, maybe I'll start better again tomorrow. It's like, you have to just start together now, get it together and do it, because otherwise it's like a nasty hamster wheel. So that's just what I would say. Overthinking is probably our worst enemy.
Yeah, 100%. And to answer Omel, absolutely. But I love this because like you do have a choice, but the choice of you eating bad and fucking with your sugar levels, that could have a serious impact on your health and the longevity of your life, and you're a wife and a parent and all those things. And so yeah, God, I really, really connect with that. I appreciate you sharing. Let's go Brandy, let's go Kaleem, Aaron, and then Joanne, and that will be the last contribution. And we're going to get right into market conversation. But you guys, great job so far of just stepping into this conversation. And it fuels me to see how many hands went up. We had 12 hands go up for this topic. And so I'm pumped for you guys and I'm pumped for this conversation. Let's go Brandy. Let's hear from you.
All right. So Christina pretty much took like the words literally right out of my mouth. Like for me, discipline is all about the choice that we have to make. And it's really stepping out of that victim mentality of putting the blame on anybody else but ourselves. So I think for discipline, like it's the power of that choice. And when you think about it, there's some people who don't get that choice. And obviously that's speaking from my life experiences, being put in experiences that I didn't have a choice, but yet I could be disciplined and take control over that and go, what's the greater purpose here? So another thing that my dad taught me, so about discipline rolling down to the family, is he told me this a couple years ago. He said, do it when you don't want to do it. That is the best time to do something. And then if you think about it, if you take yourself back to all of your worst times, or I even think of like being in high school and like partying, I still showed up to work because I wanted that reward 2 weeks later for that paycheck, no matter if I was like hungover or tired or exhausted. So it's all about the choice, and your discipline really shows through when you're going through some hard stuff. So
yeah, and you've been through some of the hardest shit that any of us will face, and so I appreciate that contribution. Mad love and respect for you. Let's go Aaron, Chris, let's go, and then Kaleem, and then Joanne. You'll wrap this portion of this up and then we'll keep cruising. Let's go, Aaron.
Mike Tyson said something about discipline where he said you got to do what you hate doing like you love it. And so that's something that always kind of resonated with me. And then also to what Jeff was saying, you do it for your older self, but you also do it for the kids, right? Like I stopped drinking before 40, not because I was going to jail or having problems. I just was like, I got to do it for the kids, right? And so my mom always used to teach me, if you're not 10, 15 minutes early, you're late. So that's a discipline that you don't often think about. And to what Damian was saying, like we do a lot of things and we don't really think of it as discipline, but I would encourage everybody to do some of that gap and gain stuff, because a lot of times I'm thinking I'm not disciplined enough. But if I think about before I was 40, when I was a teenager, there's a lot of disciplines I've built up over the years that are serving me, and I got to acknowledge those and just keep building off of them to be more and more disciplined. So do it for yourself, your older self, but also do it for the kids, do it for the people around you who are going to learn and become disciplined themselves because of it, like your daughter. So that's my contribution.
God, I love it, Aaron. And here's the thing, you guys, if you haven't read the book, grab the book, The Gap and the Gain. The Gap and the Gain really puts in a perspective to appreciate exactly where your feet are planted right now, exactly where your feet are planted. And if you're going through struggles, it's okay, like appreciate it. Know, what am I learning about myself? How have I grown through this process? I don't need to hit something in order for me to have success. I don't need to sell 20 homes in order for me to feel successful. Like I need to understand that I am okay where I'm at right now. There's so much power in that journey. And there's so much power in being able to look at yourself and be like, damn, look at how much I've accomplished. Look at what I've become. Look at who I've impacted. And all the goals is, yeah, those are milestones, but that doesn't make you happy. I've reached goals before. It's just like, meh, right? But throughout that process is where I was most happy, because I was growing, I was achieving, I was taking the knocks on the chin, I was getting back up, all that process. So The Gap and the Gain, you guys, really powerful book. Let's go to, who was it? Colleen, and then Joanne, and then we'll shift gears. I got some stuff in the queue for you guys. Let's go, Colleen. Clean once, clean twice. All right, cool. Joanne, let's go to you.
All right, so I just want to say, obviously this topic resonates for everybody, which is awesome. So thank you for bringing it up. So I've kind of always tried to figure out why fitness relates to business success, and it's totally about discipline. So when you exercise regularly, it shows in your body, it shows in your confidence, it shows how you carry yourself. And that carries over to business because people see that and they want to work with somebody who's like that. I had a coworker in my previous career who was excellent. She was so efficient. Everybody liked her. She was a super high performer, always there. I mean, hours early to work, never got promoted. And she was really out of shape. And I tried to, I would try to take her on walks with me and stuff. And I just felt like it was, her lack of fitness that was holding her back in her career. So I've always kind of tried to figure it out. And it's the discipline that shows in your fitness that carries over to your business success.
Wow. Yeah, I totally agree. And I'll give you an example. I went to John Cheplack's house almost 3 years ago, and I'm sitting in his living room. I had never met John Cheplack, and obviously he's somebody that I look up to in the coaching space. And before we even started talking, the dude is like, he's over 50 years old, like ripped. He's got this like tight black shirt on, tattoos. And before we even started talking, I'm like, the dude just commanded presence. Now, I'm not saying you need a six-pack. I'm not saying you need to be ripped like John Cheplack. I'm not saying that. What I am saying from my experience is I was like, damn, he instantly commanded everybody by just his presence. Like his presence alone, I looked at him, I'm like, damn, this shit, when he talks about discipline, I probably want to listen because he seems to have some things figured out just by the way that he looks. So I'm like, okay, I'm involved in the conversation. He just had a presence, and I've always respected that of him. And on the things that I've been able to do in like fitness, I'm nowhere where I want to be, but for example, this challenge that I'm doing right now, every single time that I do it, I feel even more disciplined and more accomplished. So Joanne, I appreciate that sentiment. Let's go Kaleem. And then I'm going to try to come back to Nicole and Sarah. I said, Kaleem, you were the last one. So let's go Kaleem.
Good morning, everybody. I had to walk away because I had a appointment with Derek and my seller in Los Angeles. I missed the last maybe 5 to 10 minutes. I apologize. Do you want to like
They said
tell
some
me?
they said some really good. Well, first off, what was your hand up for?
I did not even put my hand up. I'm sorry. I'm just
Okay, no worries.
typing emails. That's what I'm saying. I did not put my hand up.
No
No, my
worries.
hand is up. Sorry, it is up. Sorry.
Listen,
My hand's supposed to not be up.
We'll,
I can
we'll,
lower
we'll,
it right now.
we'll
Sorry,
keep,
guys.
we'll keep cruising, bro. It is
Thank you.
all good. So let's keep going, you guys. There was one other thing that I want to share with you guys. I'm not going to ask your feedback on this because you guys are just super, super engaged this morning, which I love. But I saw a quote, and I want to share this one with you. Follow the Chris Do, D-O. And it says, and this is for all of our content creators on here, don't create for the nice. I'm gonna have you mute yourself, bro. I'm getting some feedback on your line. Thank you. Don't create for the algorithm. You are a human. Your audience are humans. They want to hear from you, your voice, not filtered through content hacks. Create from your heart, write from your experiences, tell your stories, share your lessons, and fuck the algorithm. So hopefully that lands for the people on this call that are creating content. The world wants to see more of you. Ernesto, I'm going to come back to you in a few minutes, but there's a few things that I wanted to share with you guys. How are we doing so far? Are we making progress? Yeah? Have you heard something that has sparked maybe something inside of you this morning? Because I know I have. Selfishly, I have. So thank you. So let's go right into this. I got a couple articles that I want to share with you guys. And this is important, especially for your sellers out there, for the people that are thinking about, staying in rent, whatever the case is. I think that this just makes for really good content. There was a new city that has just passed a rent control measure. Now, this is in the city of Concord, and what you'll find in this article is that they want to limit the annual rent increase to 3%, or 60% of regional inflation, whichever is lower for apartment buildings built before 1995. Now, it's important that we're just reading these things, that we're knowing this article is a really powerful article, because my question and my thoughts to everyone on this call is, where else are we going to see this come up, and why are they doing this? And JJ, I'm glad that you're here, bro. Give me your thoughts and contributions before we go any further. I love that you're on this. Let's go.
Okay, yeah. So I'm all over this shit. Excuse my French, but
Okay.
Oakland obviously started. Oakland, Berkeley, San Francisco started all this stuff. Concord's been talking about it for 3 years. They finally did it. The problem with most of their thought is, most of the people who are the council members don't really understand the whole problem, and they get a lot of advocacy from tenant union type people, and they're coming from a good place, but they don't realize that it kills everything. When they cap what you can charge, like at 3%, which is what Oakland's doing and what Concord wants to do, a raise annually, what it does is it stuns anybody trying to build anything. Like, for instance, we're building a unit right now, and Oakland is the next phase. Oakland's trying to do is keep us from charging market rent. They want to dictate what it's worth, and so the number for you to build becomes way bigger than what you can actually make. And what it's going to do is it's going to kill more small businesses who are landlords lots of money, because it's harder and harder to evict people, even when it's clear that the person should be evicted. And then number three, it's going to kill values, because all those units are going to lose value. They're not going to be worth what they would be worth, either by the rents or by having tenants who don't pay rent for 6 to 8 months. And so they're coming from a place of helping people, but the reality isn't, it's not going to help. What we need is more inventory, as everybody else knows. It's just more inventory. All these other stopgap measures are going to just slowly kill everything. No one's going to build. I mean, trust me, I'm literally building stuff right now, and the numbers don't make sense. If we weren't lucky and we didn't get the lot what we got out of that, and if I didn't have the connections I had, a regular person trying to build something right now, it's insane. So yeah, back to the Concord thing. More cities are looking at it. Antioch is already has some form of it. And now Contra Costa is thinking about doing the same thing that Alameda County is doing. So if you guys don't listen to anything else I do, listen to the stuff that I post about this. It's going to affect real estate. You know, it really does. It comes from a well-meaning place, but it's not. They're not looking at the whole thing. They're only looking at the immediate problem for the person who's being evicted.
So a question in the chat was, what cities don't have rent control? I think it's more important to ask the question of what cities do have rent control. Right now, Oakland, Berkeley do have rent control. And in your understanding, what other cities have rent control? And please drop the cities down below if you know.
Concord now has it. Antioch has got a version of it. I can't because I'm kind of doing stuff right now, but I can put stuff on Slack for you guys too, and I'll send it to you. Oh, real quick, I will also add this to Slack. East Bay Rental Housing Association. We're awesome, dude. They have everything up to date for you guys. East Bay Rental Housing Association. It costs $40 a month if you want to become a member. I would suggest that every single realtor who has ever either sold income property or is going to sell income property in the future, either connect or connect with them and pay the money, or just start getting their fees. We have an email that goes out. I think it's once every 2 weeks. But the other reason, what I was going to say is, for all you guys, it's useful, is the East Bay Rental Housing Association keeps up to date with all the forms that you need. So the forms from East Bay Rental Housing are actually more accurate than the CAR ones for our local jurisdictions. So if you guys have either income property that you own, or you have a client who might have those, that by itself is worth the money, because the forms are like absolutely on point per city. You don't have to worry about being out of compliance or out of regulations. I mean, Oakland's big on that.
So JJ, let me ask you this, and just from like a sales standpoint, do you think that in the city of Concord, people are going to offload their investments, or they're going to hang on to them?
I'm already working on that because I knew that it was coming 3 years ago. I've literally been calling a bunch of older landlords that own property, and most of them don't know, and it's going to hit them hard. So I'm doing two things with it. I'm giving them information, telling them to go to the East Bay Rental Housing Association if they want more info, and then also, hey, if you want to offload it, I've got people who want to buy it. So.
Okay, so obviously I see the opportunity here. Just my mind starts working. I see the opportunity, and like the reason why I'm sharing this, I'm so glad that you made that point, JJ. The reason why I'm sharing this with you is because there's always a spin, right? There's always an opportunity for us. If they're going to be raising rents or stabilizing rents, it's called rent stabilization. That means that the potential income that they were looking forward to making in the next 24 months, three years, whatever that looks like, that's going to be lower and lower. If prices are up in certain communities, which we're seeing, year over year, then it might be a great opportunity for them to at least have that conversation, and no better than you guys to have that conversation. So JJ, love that contribution. So what I did is I dropped that in the chat down below. Feel free to take a look at that. And I think that it's a really good video. It's a really good hook. It's a really good green screen. So what you do is you take the information and then you decipher that information and you articulate in a way that anybody can understand, that is watching, that is following you. And you just literally are repurposing what's already been created for you. And that is the quintessential news jacking. There's also an article that you might have seen this is circulating right now, and it's stating why homeowners are staying in their properties longer than any other time in the last decade. And so what's happening is that you have these baby boomers that have been in their house for a lot longer than any other generation. And what's happening is that they're sitting on all this wealth. And so when we're thinking about deficiency in listings, we've had this conversation before. And what I want you guys to do is I want you to look at this report, and I want you to take some data from this. And what I want you to do is I want you to analyze it and say, okay, if I was going to use this data to my advantage, what would I do? If I know that homeowners are staying in their homes longer in certain communities and at certain demographics of age, then how do I go after these consumers in a completely different way? So many people are asking them if they want to sell, and maybe that's not the question, and maybe that's not the right dialogue. Who is helping them to build that empire, right? We've had this conversation before, but I was reminded of that when I read this article this morning. Who is helping them to diversify and to capitalize on the mass amounts of equity that they've built, right? Knowing that they have no intention of leaving or going anywhere else, how are we helping them take that and leveraging that equity to buy income properties for their family, right? If the idea is to build generational wealth for our family to pass it on, which give or take, they might have another 25 more years, 20 years on this planet. How can we help these people that are staying in their houses longer leverage the massive amounts of equity that they've built in their home? And so when I think about an article like this, should I stay or should I go? That's literally how I would approach this hook, how I would approach this video and say, should I stay or should I go? I read an article yesterday that states that today's homeowners are staying in their homes twice as long as they did in 2005. And here's what's happening in the impact. I would literally do a video based on this information right here. You don't have to do the research because all of the research is already done for you. But what you have to do is you have to spend the time reading. So when you speak to a consumer, you're articulating at a very high level and you sound like you know what the fuck you're talking about. JJ, let's go back to you. Was that a recent hand or an old hand? No hand? Okay, perfect. So I want you guys to make sure that you have this article. I dropped it. Also, I was in a coaching conversation yesterday, and this person said that home prices were down. And when I started to look at the cities where this person represents, home prices were up year over year in January. And so if you're not checking it out, and I don't want to spend too much time on this, go to the Bay East Association of Realtors. They have this monthly weather report. And the weather report will give you statistics on year over year homes sold, inventory, as well as year over year price increase. For example, on this here, you can see that Walnut Creek has had an increase of 2% January to January of 2023 to 2024. And look at Pleasant Hill. Pleasant Hill went from 989 on an average to 1150. So that's an increase of 16% year over year. So when you're talking with people, or if you as an agent are saying, oh, well, interest rates are down and you can get in right now and strike while the iron's hot because prices are low, you got to be really, really careful on what you say if you don't understand the data. So the idea is to make sure that you're reading, you're going through all these articles, you're deciphering the information, and you're making sure that a consumer understands like what are the benefits of waiting and what's the disadvantages of waiting. So this is our responsibility and it's our obligation to make sure that we are reading every single day so we are delivering the right type of information. So you have this here, I'll make sure to drop the weather report, go through and look at any of the old weather reports. We do this occasionally, that way you guys are all up to speed. Paste this here. And then let's see. Did I put this one here? Yeah, I put them all there. Judith, if you can drop the art or the link to where JJ was saying go earlier for the East Bay Rental Housing Association, if you can drop the link for that as well. But the point is, we want to make sure that we're getting in front of these conversations. Now, if you're reading the news and you're watching things, there was obviously talks about consideration or possibility of 3 rate hikes this year. And I would love if Ashley or Jeff would speak about that, because now that sentiment sounds like it's changing a little bit, right? And so Ashley, Jeff, this is kind of your wheelhouse. If you guys would want to share your thoughts on this, I'd love to hear from you on where we stand.
Sure, good morning. So yeah, if we were talking in December and we were expecting 100% chance there would be a rate cut in March, and what the Fed was saying was as long as inflation reports came in the way they wanted them to, then we would have 100% cut. That's what the market was betting on. Well, they didn't. They came in lower, but not as low as the market was anticipating. So now it still looks like we're going to have cuts, but it looks like it's going to be closer to July.
And do you feel from the lending side that buyer sentiment or buyer psychology has become accustomed to whatever the interest rates are right now? Do you feel like there's still fear and trepidation of the interest rates, or not as prevalent as it was, 6 months ago?
It's a mixed bag, but it's not as prevalent as it was 6 months ago. People are definitely getting used to it. There's definitely a bottleneck, but a lot of it is because there's multiple offers now on houses. There's a lot more. So I have more pre-approvals out right now than I think I've ever had at one time, just because people are competing. Some of them are a little hesitant with the monthly payment, so we're trying to strategize a little bit, but without as many seller credits, it's a little bit harder to kind of buy that down. So yeah, no, people are getting more and more used to like, okay, this is what my monthly payment's going to be. Let me get out there and shop, because they kind of got the message that spring is coming and they want to get in before it really picks up when rates start to drop.
And from your vantage point, when you're thinking about offers that are getting accepted, and then, you know, what you're seeing on your side, is there any particular terms or things that are standing out to you that are truly, truly winning, or is it kind of a mixed bag?
No, it's pretty straightforward. The contingencies either are very, very short, pre-underwritten pre-approvals, short 14-day closes, and then making sure that the lender and the agent are calling the seller, building that rapport. I can't tell you how many people said, you know what, based on the communication, I just really feel like I trust the communication with the real estate agent and the lender, and I feel like they'll know that it's going to go through. If they can see it's pre-underwritten, if they can see the contingencies are short, I send everyone my website so they can see all the reviews, and even a screenshot showing that we close in 14 days on average. And so it's really just about giving that seller confidence that if they accept your offer, it's going to close, and it's going to close quickly, and their seller's going to get their money. So if you miss a phone call, calling that listing agent, that literally could be the difference between getting it accepted or not. You have to do those little things to kind of show that yours stands out more than everybody else's.
Yeah, I love this. You know, there's a clear case of this yesterday when George Martinez shared at our team meeting. He got his offer accepted and he was third. He was third. Although they did remove the contingencies, they didn't win on price, but what they won on was the relationship. He had built such a great relationship, and here's the crazy part of it. The two other offers, and no names were mentioned, one of the offers was somebody that wrote an offer that shunned the listing agent in the past, wouldn't give any information, oh, just submit your highest and best, was a total dick to that person, and that relationship, that person remembered it. And so he went with George because George was persistent, built a great relationship, built great communication, removed contingencies. Even though that they weren't the highest on price, they still got their offer accepted. So I absolutely love that. Ashley, Jeff, let's go to you, big dog. Let's hear your contribution.
Well, interesting.
Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry.
Let's go Jeff Phillips. I'm sorry. Then I'll go to Jeff G.
Yeah, I was just going to piggyback off of what Ashley said, and it goes back to discipline. That's a discipline of mine that no matter what, you accept my offer, you don't accept my offer, you're still getting a call. And then it goes back to exactly what you talked about with George, and just understanding that, like, as the market heats up, as the market does what the market does, your relationship with other agents are going to be your biggest asset. That's why I love that my coach taught me, was like, hey, you think that your clients are the clients you're talking to, your buyers? No, the clients are the other agent. You got to think of the other agent as your client, because you may see that other agent 3-4 times. You're not going to see that buyer again probably for the next 7 to 10 years. And you may see that other agent more often than you see that buyer, and that buyer is not going to transact. But the next week you go with a new client to go write an offer, that agent may be there. So it's always about how you put your best foot forward and allowing yourself to have discipline, to be able to have empathy, to be able to have compassion. Like, we always think of discipline as far as like hard work and, you know, outworking everybody, but there's also a discipline in having compassion. There's also a discipline in having empathy. There's also a discipline in when you're going to call to make sure. Cause like, yeah, I was out, it was a weekend, the Niners were playing, we were doing all this stuff. And I was like, hey, y'all, I got to be right back. We just submitted an offer. I got to go make this call real quick. All right, so I submitted the offer. Hey, Javier, you know, I just wanted to let you know we submitted our offer. This was our terms. Let me know if your client needs anything adjusted. We're open to communication. And that was why we got our offer accepted. He had another offer in hand. He was like, I just don't trust it. I don't know. They haven't talked to me. There's a lot of holes in it. And I was like, look, when you get an offer from me, it's going to be clean, and we're going to be able to have communication about anything that you have questions on. So have that discipline and being able, like I said, to have compassion, to have empathy, for the other people in our industry, but also to be able to have that discipline when it comes to your process.
God, I mean, well said, well said. Always spoken like a true poet, man. Appreciate your contribution. Let's go to Jeff G. Hard act to follow, Jeff G, but let's go.
I know. He's flowing there. Jeez. So back to the kind of the psychology of the buyers that are out there. I mean, you might see some empirical data today, or you will, in terms of weekly mortgage applications. And weekly mortgage applications on purchases were down 10%. So everybody's like, oh my gosh, the sky's falling, we're going, people are getting out. But what this measures is applications. People going into contract and physically applying for a loan. What this doesn't take into account, like Ashley said, she has more pre-approved buyers out there shopping right now than she has in probably the past few months or even a year. And it doesn't take that into consideration. This is just strictly application. So this is going to fluctuate. So to your point, and to Ashley's point, buyers' psychology when it comes to rates has definitely changed, and the opportunity that exists out there. There may be some week to week things that happen from a standpoint of maybe stuff we have going on the weekend. Maybe a Niners Super Bowl, affected how many people were going into contract because they weren't out on Sunday looking at home. So different things happen. But overall, even though we've crossed back over that 7% interest rate for mortgages, the psychology of buyers is definitely different than it was 6 months ago or a year ago. They're out there, they want to buy, and hopefully we get them a little bit of relief with some rates pulling back in the coming weeks. But our pre-approvals are up. We just need to translate those into contracts and into actual mortgage applications.
And you guys, listen, that should send a message of hope to every single person on this call. Like, this is how you shouldn't be feeling. Oh my God, no one wants to buy its interest rate. No, our responsibility is to continue prospecting, to find the people that are ready to go despite interest rates, right? They're ready to go. They have an impending event. They're getting married. They just had a baby. They need to move. They're sick of renting. They're tired of, like, that's an impending event. And there's thousands and thousands of people out there right now that have impending events. It's your responsibility to get in front of those people. And how do you get in front of those people? You prospect and you continue prospecting, and you don't take your foot off the gas. That's our job. Our job is to prospect for people that are ready to buy or sell now. And if they're not ready, cool. You put them in your system, you follow up with them, and you keep moving forward and find those people that are ready to go. So you guys, amazing, amazing contributions today. I want to get a couple key takeaways from people on the call today. Romel, I'm going to save you for last. I'll have you close out the session. Raj, as a guest today, what was one thing or one takeaway from your experience? Raj, if I can hear from you.
Hi.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay. Okay. So for me, this was really new information. It was a lot to learn. A lot. Discipline, I've been a really good disciplined person, always been like that. But like listening to all of you guys, I feel like I need to work more on it.
It's a work in progress, right?
Yeah.
We're constantly evolving in this game.
That's right. But it was a really I love this whole conversation. It was really good.
Well, I appreciate you being here. And
Thank you so much.
It's nothing without you guys being here. So thank you for your contributions. Let's go over to Shally. Shally, key takeaways from our time together today. And then Romel, I want to have you wrap up Sesh. So Shally, let's hear from you. Key takeaways from our time together today. Shally Brar? You have to take yourself off of mute. There we are.
Hi. For me, is the discipline is the life, like your daily routine. You're committed to and put your fears on side and just do it and learn through doing, and keep your work on track.
Yes, I love it. And you know what? Shout out to you. Shally recommitted to her business a couple months ago and hasn't really been a content creator. And now, Shally, like, you are showing up in my feed and you're creating videos, and they're good videos, and you're out there touring properties. And Shally, just want to send a huge shout out to you, because you looked the fears directly in their face and you said, you know what? I want to take my business to the next level. You recommitted, you actually declared that, and now you're living up to it. So it's not just lip service. You're actually following the game, and I really, really appreciate what you're doing. So go, Shally. Absolutely, Marcelina. I love that. So great job. Let's have you close this out, Romel. Less than a minute. Romel, key takeaways from our time together today, big dog. Let's go ahead and have you take us off the field.
Man, you only give me a minute. There's so much to say. I'll just say I recently, actually last night, had a conversation with another entrepreneur who was trying to convince me that discipline is the worst thing you can have to be creative and successful. I won't go into the detail of that logic, but I wish they had been on this conversation, particularly to hear Jeff's framing of what discipline is. It really is a gift to yourself. And you have to, it's a non-negotiable. You can frame it any way you want, but if you don't have consistency and action, and most of us probably can look back in our lives and see when we've been successful at a thing, we stuck to it, we did particular things on a consistent level, and we achieved our goal. It's a non-negotiable. So however you want to frame discipline, it's a non-negotiable to get where you want to go.
Yeah, I love it. And I'm so glad that you said that, Romel, because everyone's entitled to their opinion. And that's a beautiful thing about being a human. But the context of the quote, that's why I asked you guys, what's your interpretation of what that meant? And as you heard, 15 people shared what their interpretation of that quote was, and it was all different. So, Romel, appreciate that, you guys. Thank you for being here at a very, very high level. I cannot tell you how grateful I am. The moment that you step into this room, it is my responsibility to deliver and ask questions that are going to get this train moving down the tracks. And so thank you for all of your heartfelt responses. Thank you for your contributions. For our guests on the line, if you want to know what being a part of our environment's like on a consistent basis, have the person that recommend you to come here. We'll have a conversation and we can talk about what alignment with us actually looks like. You guys, thank you for being here. As always, keep it moving towards your dreams, goals, and vision, and go out there and crush your Wednesday. Peace.